Hello everybody, Wolfie here, and welcome back to Creating Cottagecore Episode 2. Welcome back, it's good to see you once again. So, last time we set up these create machines that I have here behind me. You can see that they've been changed a little bit. Having lived in this world for a little bit of time, it's become necessary to make some modifications to them. Just to make it a little bit easier for me to utilize them, there's a little bit that had to go into it just to make it quality of life things, quality of life changes. So, I didn't talk about what the machines did. I just kind of set them up and kind of assumed that you knew how Create worked, and that's my fault. I really should take the time, slow it down a little bit, and show you what everything does. So a lot of this is very straightforward. The presser presses items into sheets, which we're going to use right here to create the wrench. We need gold sheets, and you get that by pressing gold ingots. And we can watch the presser do its thing, and it bunks them into plates. Very important for making more advanced structures that we're going to need later on down the road. These chutes here are just glorified hoppers. The millstone here grinds things up. And so if you put something at the top, like let's say this piece of cobblestone, it grinds it in the gravel. And the reason we wanted gravel was for this washer setup here, which we have water right in here. You can see this is a little bit nicer looking as well. When you throw the gravel into there, it will wash it down and break it down into possibly nuggets, but most likely flint. We're looking for the nuggets though because I'm very iron deprived. So having the extra iron available to me was very nice early game for some tools and a few other things like the chutes there for the millstone setup. And for the mixer, I did indeed learn there is a recipe for it. Normally it takes 2 andesite and 2 nuggets to get a single andesite alloy, but with this you can actually get one for just one of each material. So that's extremely helpful as well for, making shafts and everything else. Now, I've already went through and did our nature hike, so let's go ahead and take the opportunity to do that. Oh, you can see that we got some nuggets and some flint from those 11 gravels, which isn't much of a return, but this is not meant to be an iron farm. We could make an iron farm, but I don't feel that fits in with the aesthetic for Cottagecore, so we're not going to do that. But this was just something to help supplement whatever we do find out in war. So, with that, let's go on our show you what happened on our nature hike for today, and you can see a few more places and a few more shenanigans that I've been up to. As well as, when we get back, the resources that we collected. I had to expand the inventory even a little bit in these chests right here, which I'm excited about because it's time to actually get started on a proper housing setup. So I do, look at this camp. Look at this camp. It's so cute and cozy and comfy, but it's not big enough. We need a lot more space. I need a lot more space, so yeah. I'm excited. Let's get a cottage built. Right outside of camp, I came across a blossom tree, which was really pretty, so I made sure to cut that down with the saw. And then came across some sea oats, which doesn't seem to do anything, but is very pretty. Then I came across this little guy here, and I gave him 2 pieces of bread. And then I was very curious if he would have a varied diet, if he would eat more than just bread. So seeing that there were some wild tomatoes growing nearby, I gave him one of those. And he's a little reluctant on that. I don't know if maybe he was full, but he did eventually eat it. Then I came across the catacombs, and I didn't explore it because we're on a mission. We have some things that we're looking for out in the world. Now is not the time to get into it just yet. Then I came across an Umbran forest, which had the distinctly sweet smell of things that had been decaying out a little too long. But it didn't seem to bother the bears any. I skirted around the outside of the biome and came across a dead oak tree at the edges of it, as well as wither roses, which I picked up for later because, those are useful things, and it's going to be a while before I summon a wither. Poking out beyond the trees of the Umbran forest, there was a house on top of a hill, which I found out was a mausoleum or crypt, and then a castle that was ad hoc onto them. Only get so far poking around the outside of places though, so I decided it was high time to explore a structure, and I started off with the house on the hill. The house was run down and decrepit. It looked like it had been abandoned, even though it was right next to the castle, the villagers wanting nothing to do with this place. But of course, you have to venture into places like that because that's where all the best things are. I ascended a ladder that was decorated with skulls, perhaps of trespassers past. Then slowly, cautiously crept my way down the hallway, trying to reach the upper floors. The highest room in the house was a bedroom, and though it wasn't to my aesthetic, it did have a cat, so it wasn't a complete loss. There's a kitty! And then I found a little bedtime story that everyone would want to read inside of a creepy house at the top floor that looked like this. Let's see what we got here. Alright. Do not try to fight it. Do not try to touch your house. Don't investigate. Don't try to understand. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to be stupid. It's my sincere hope that I've given you all the answers you want. So if you don't like our mistake and try and investigate this one and only one thing you need to do to be safe. If you see it, run. Mom, Dad, do you make Minecraft mods now? Comforting as that story was, there was no way of sleeping in that house, so I went outside and slept by the undead crypts because that was more preferable than sleeping in that bedroom. I wormed my way into the castle and came across the throne room. Who's the king? Me. I am the king. There's a lodestone right here. What the heck? I can think of better uses for a lodestone than a villager's butt, so I decided I'm taking that with me. I did fix the throne room before I left. It looks nice, even if it's not as ostentatious anymore. After that, I came across this beautiful mountain range that just climbed into the very heavens themselves. There were a lot of cave entrances into the mountainside, and it did look like caves ran all the way throughout the mountain generation, but there was one at the very tippy top, which would make a really cool lookout point. On the far side of the mountain range, there was a beach, and there was a couple of whales just having a nice little conversation. It was really cute. Found some rice, which would come in handy because I really was looking forward to making some things with straw. Then it was time to jump into a boat and sail to parts unknown. After making landfall, I came across a village with a lighthouse, which of course I had to climb so I could take in the view. Did not leave that village unscathed, however. I have been scarred, I have been marred, I have been thieved upon. Mine, no, my food! My food! Travel oscillated between water and land, and this time I was back in Oppo, but I got a beautiful shot of being up close with an orca. Then I made landfall shortly after, only to be waylaid once again by thieves. Found a sunken ship, grabbed the treasure map out of it, and then went over to the appropriate chunk and located spot 99. If you're not familiar, location 99 in a chunk puts you right on top of the treasure chest. It had some pretty decent stuff inside. From the snow on the ground, you could tell the air began to turn very chilly at this point, but that didn't really bother me. I've always been acclimated very well against the cold. Did come across a three-way standoff between two mooses and a snow leopard, which I guess the snow leopard just wanted to participate in the fun. The village next to this didn't have anything really to offer me, but it did give me a waystone, and it did allow me to upgrade my copper axe for an iron one. I tried really hard to resist, but I couldn't. I had to go back and pet these seals, and you can just hear how I reacted when I got close. Rubber the belly, rubber the belly, rubber the belly. Okay. Amidst the ice and snow, the cold began to shift into a drier climb. And no longer was it in the moisture on my skin, but it began to sink bone deep into the marrow itself. But having no choice, I had to sleep. And I spotted something that gave me a little bit of concern. Was it really that late? I feel like it was still kind of early. Get me out of buddy. He just... Huh? He just ignoring me? Alright. Alright, fine with me. Before leaving for warmer biomes, I did get an opportunity to get up close to an orca. Eventually, I came across another prairie, and it threw me off a little bit because it looked exactly like Spawn. If it wasn't for a journey map, I think I might have actually confused this for being Spawn, minus the village. I'd eventually figured it out. Part of the reason that this nature hike went for as long as it did was I was looking for specific trees. One of the ones of which was going to be acacia, and it took this long before I finally found a savanna. Oh, yeah. That took way too long. Ah, kangaroos. Well, hello. What? Did I do that? Hello. Oh, hi. There was a waystone in the middle of the savanna, so I used the opportunity to cut down as many acacia trees as I could. And then beyond this biome was a place where I could get dark oak and a spruce wood, which were the other two wood types that I was looking for. But this nature hike has gone on for quite a while, so we're going to be calling it there, even though I did a little smidge more exploring beyond this. Alright, the sun has risen on another beautiful day here in the world, and we are here in the prairie right next to spawn. Cleared out this entire space here using shears, so that we're able to keep all the barley. We can use that for decoration. It's a really nice color, and it really sells the whole prairie look, along with the color of the grass. We're going to have the cottage built in this space here. Might need to expand it a little bit more. I've gathered a lot of resources here that we're going to be using to build the cottage, but I don't know if it's actually enough items just yet. Being that this is Forge, I don't have access to Lightmatica, so I have to kind of reference the documents I used for designing the cottage. We'll see how things go. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get the floor plan down, talk about it a little bit, and then put the walls up, and, you know, the whole spiel go from there. So, remove all of our stuff from right over here, the inside of this space here. As you can see, this is a relatively larger build. Well, relatively larger, I say, because in comparison to the campsite, it's a lot bigger. It's going to provide a lot more space to have some actual proper storage and everything along with that. But, yeah, still not an overly huge building. Definitely got a lot more stone than I'm going to need, but I feel like I am running low on acacia. I actually have no more logs whatsoever. Everything is in here. And, well, I've got like these 64 logs, and then I've got this right here for, well, you'll see a little bit later on down the road. But, yeah, the floor itself looks really good. I am in love with this version of the block right here, of the bonded acacia planks. They're just, I love the little added depth of color. I think if I go back to vanilla, I might just change the texture of my vanilla acacia planks to look like this. It might be a little overwhelming. I think the little pops of color in between the regular acacia is probably what I love the most. But honestly, this is my favorite version of the planks that I've ever seen. So I'm absolutely smitten with this. But yeah, just a little bit of extra textures just to break up the details a little bit. No rhyme or reason, kind of like a randomized pattern. And that gets us our floor plan. Bedroom's going to be over here. Kitchen is going to be back here. Yes, kitchen's going to be here. Bedroom's going to be here. Cafe is going to be right over there. And then this one right here should be our workshop. And the reason this is going to be the workshop, which is kind of far away from the kitchen. I think I originally had this transposed. I might change that again. But I needed the workshop to be right over here because, again, we're going to have a little water wheel. We're going to build out a little space right here. And this will be where we power all our crate machines. I mean, I guess it could run a shaft all the way to the other side, but it just kind of makes more sense right here. But yeah, cafe. We're going to have a little cafe with some big glass windows. These blocks are probably going to have to come out, but I need to put the stone down first so I have something to visualize. I'm actually going to put in posts as well to be supports into this. I think. I have to double check the screenshots, but I always build a wall first and then take everything down, which I know is kind of a waste, but it's the only way for me mentally to wrap my head around what it is I'm trying to do. Without taking the time to do this, it just comes out as a large mess. So even though it's a waste, it helps me in the long run. Alright, so that's where we're at right now. I'm going to go ahead and start continuing the next level. And then also, of course, a little bit of terraforming around the outside, but we'll probably get to that at the very end and shape the land how we need to. Alright, next step. While I was working, the zombie came up to me and started trying to serenade me with song. And while I appreciate the effort, honestly, I had to send him down the road because I had stuff to do. Okay, so as you can see, we've kind of got the walls in a little bit, and I'll be the first to admit that this is probably starting to get a little too big for a cottage, but we're going to need the space for all the things that we're going to have and be living in this space probably for quite a while if we even move at all. I have a plan. I have an idea for a much larger house that'll have some really cool bits and bobs to it, but that is going to be way on later down the road. So for now, this is going to have to be a holdover, a stopgap that's going to last for quite a while. So we're definitely going to fill this space up. As you saw, I outgrew the camp almost immediately after it was built. So yeah, I just kind of want to make sure I have enough breathing room to get all the things that I'm going to want in here. And I have some pretty good ideas for how to do some really cute interiors. I might add some windows here in the back wall. I've kind of put these on here for now, but you know, I think windows are a bit of a trap when it comes to designs for a house. Like I do like spaces like this. Like this is the bedroom, and there's going to be a little bit of a indoor garden kind of thing going on here. But I feel like if I had this everywhere, it's less of a house and more of like a greenhouse. You need wall space. You need space that you don't really that it's substantial, that you can put cabinets against. This is going to be like the storage area, so you know you kind of need things like this, I feel like. Or actually, this is the storage area. In any case, one of these walls is the storage area. We want solid walls. We don't really want chests so that you can see them from the outside. That's just a little bit off. And then this is our little cafe space right here. I'm not too sure about these doors. Probably swap these out. But yeah, I'm going to keep going up higher and we'll circle back once we've done that. Hey, don't judge me. It's still in work in progress. Don't judge me. Let's... No. No, none of that. None of that. Between the last clip and this one here, I got into a Discord call with a couple of friends, started chatting, and you know how it goes. You're working in the background idly, and I got a lot more progress than I would have liked. Normally, I would have approached this like the campsite in episode 1. We do a little bit, come back into it, do a little bit, come back into it, rather than just turn around and have the whole build done. Build's not done, but we're getting pretty close. We have a roof on here now, and we have a second floor, which we'll do a walkthrough of the outside and then the inside here in just a moment. But I'm really loving this build. All the different colors that come together. It's very warm, very inviting. Torch spam on the outside right now because I don't have the means for anything else, but we'll work on that slowly over time. Let's jump down here. And so, a couple things to note about the build. One, it's not done. I would like to have a fireplace on one side of it with bricks, and I've got to go get the materials for that. And then also, I'm thinking like a little deck up here, so that there adds some texture to the walls. This is very flat. Even though there's a lot of varied blocks here, and there's a lot of going on visually, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it at all. It's a completely flat surface. So we're going to add a couple external things to kind of give this build a little bit more character. But overall, I actually do like this. I also like the fact that this doesn't have an actual overhang over it, because it feels a little bit more substantial that way. And of course, I'm actually going to have a water wheel here that goes into the house to power some create machines. But we're going to build, you know, you'll see it when we get there, but there's going to be something that's going to come out here into the river itself. Or perhaps on the other side, I'm kind of toying with an idea that we'll look at, you know, in the future. Either I'll talk about it or I'll show it, depending on what, you know, we decide to go with. And then the inside hasn't changed much other than having a roof on the inside now. As I said, there's a second floor. The original design, I had it just go straight to the roof. But there is so much verticality, so much space available that I decided I'm just going to put a second floor in. I have no idea how I'm going to utilize the space, but we'll figure something out. And then this is the cafe. I changed the windows so that they weren't so samey, because originally they were dark oak. And so this spruce right here has just enough contrast, but just enough color blend being on the same side of the color wheel that it doesn't feel too out of place. But this right here, I put a little heart here. I saw an opportunity and I took it. And if this is going to be a cafe, a little heart-shaped opening archway just seemed like a fun thing to have. And then we have the bedroom here with the new windows and a roof on top. Bunch of dead space up there, but I think this room will take advantage of the verticality. We'll have some plants hanging from the ceiling and stuff like that. We'll see where I come up with. This right here is a break wall. It's just to visually break up this space from this space, but I wanted to do it in such a way that it wasn't just a blob, a big block that blocked everything off. This kind of has your eye kind of show you, hey, I can go this way, and it opens it up. So immediately this seems like a very attractive space to walk into. If we walk up the ladder, or climb up the ladder, get to the second floor, and here you can see there's just not a lot done just yet, though a lot of opportunities are available, so we could do something really neat up here. But yeah, even though the build is far from done, at least the basic structure is built, and at least the immediate area is spawn-proof, so that's going to make it a lot easier to function. I'm going to start up some decorations on the interior. Not sure how far we're going to get, but we're going to do a couple of them, and then we'll circle back again. So the house is starting to look a little overgrown. Like I said, we are going to work on that eventually, but I am encouraging the spread, at least for now. But once I get the right types of vines in there, we'll do the strategic strings and whatever else we need to do to keep these things from taking over the entire property. I got a little chimney here. It's a very crooked one, but I think that adds a lot of character to it. As you can see, it kind of starts off over here and then slowly works its way up to the top. And the reason I have this here now is because I've got a bit of decoration done on the inside. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now, it's not done, you know, just so that we're clear, just so your expectations are set. We're still a long way off from getting it completely done. But I've got enough of a structure now that I feel like you'll get a vibe for what we're going to be shooting for. So gone are all the items here, all the chests and stuff that were hanging out. And I've got it organized here in Simple Storage, which is one of the mods that I added to. Could use Top Simple Storage, but I just like the way that these look. I've always been a big fan of this mod. And I have a controller here to make this all automatic, so it makes it really easy to keep it organized. We're probably going to use several of these throughout, just because I like to have things in different spaces. Over here, as I said, this is the bedroom / organic room. Probably going to make a much nicer and taller bed eventually. But you can see we have all the organics here, collect some of the flowers, collect some of the saplings, so on and so forth, and a lot of the organic blocks that use the botanist workbench. Then, we come over here, we have the kitchen. Down here, we have furnaces. And the furnaces are just here because it gives me a little bit more smelting power to be able to not have to wait as long for things to smelt. It doesn't look too bad as like a stone floor as well. There might be other options that I'll entertain later on down the road, but this will work for now. And then, of course, we've got our cooking setup here. Got our cabinets full of food. And then, after that, through our little heart-shaped archway here, we got a start of a cafe. Now, these are not quite what I'm looking for. I'm probably going to change some of these, maybe have some individual characteristics. Obviously, I have to decorate the tops of the tables as well. What I would really like to have is some hanging flowers and hanging things like that, plants. But unfortunately, they are very expensive. And I can modify recipes. I can change things around if I so chose. But I think I'll just leave it because it incentivizes me to get my butt in gear and start getting a lot more resources. Because the riches to our name right now, this is all that we've got. This is like everything that I have. And I could turn this into double the amount of iron if we had a crushing wheel. So I'm going to need to work on that, which means I need to... This torch represents me punching out this wall and getting the water wheel in. Ultimately, I was going to put the kitchen here and put the workshop over there, but the original design had it this way, and I decided I just would leave it. And then, of course, we have all this dead space in the middle, so we're going to figure out what we can do with all of that. Upstairs, nothing has changed. There's no decorations to speak of. We're going to slowly tackle each one of those, probably between episodes, and then I'll just do a quick run through of everything as it looks, as well as further decorations of it in here. But for now, I believe that's everything for episode 2. It's a little bit on the shorter side, didn't get as many projects in as I wanted, but this house took so long. So, yeah. And then I'm excited to see where we go from here. So everyone, thank you so much, and have a great